Hi, this is Jim Byrkit, Director of Coherence. I just want to say hi to all the students at White Feather Fan Education.
Hi, I'm Hugo Armstrong, and I just want to say hi to all of the students and faculty at the White Feather Fan Film Academy. Thanks for having us. I think there were 5 that we talked about.
Yeah, I think if you track it, you will see that there are 5 hues in.
That's right. I mean, there's infinite hues, but then only in the movie we see.
Because we start the movie, we meet a Hugh. He and Amir leave and come back, and that's Hugh number 2. Then our group of 4 leaves and comes back to a house that they don't know is a new house and meet another Hugh. Then Hugh and Amir leave and they come back. We think it's, but at that point we know it's a different Hugh, but we think it's the first ones, but it's not. It's yet another Hugh and Amir, so that's number 4. And then at the end, Emily finds yet a new house, and that's number 5. Yeah, were you actually playing a different Hugh? Or also talk about the first moment that you even knew. I'm just...
The first moment, the thing that we were talking about, which I loved, it was when Alex, who's also the co-writer, who played Amir, took me outside. We went outside, and I had no idea that any of this was coming. And he says, when we go back in, we're different. We're from a different dimension. This is a whole new house that we're going. Is that right? It was a whole new house, right?
Yeah, because there was no script. The actors did not know that this was what the story was. So this is the first time Hugo had heard this.
So as actors, you're usually given a script, obviously, and you memorize your lines and you know what's going to happen. So in this film, because of what they wrote, which was brilliant, there was this whole mathematical, almost equation written out from the beginning. So as an actor, you would show up and you didn't have to know your lines, but you also didn't know what was going to be happening. And so you were given a card, and the card had what little things that you had to do. So if your wife leaves, you try to stop her, or if someone gets up to go to the kitchen, you go with them. These are things that had to be done that were integral to the mechanics of the whole thing working. But other than that, you didn't know what was going to be happening. So when I left with Amir, I had no idea that there were these parallel dimensions going on, none of that. So when he told me about that outside, and he said, all right, here's what's going to happen. We're about to go. We got to go in 10 seconds. We're in a parallel dimension. This is what's going on. La da 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 da. I was like, like that. And then we came into the scene, and I was like, so in a way, there wasn't a whole lot that I needed to prepare for different versions of Hugh, because the circumstances were creating it. And so all I needed to do was be attentive and trust that these guys had orchestrated something that was going to work. And that's easy to do with these guys.
Because to your question, usually that Hugh did not know he was in a different place. So he didn't want to act like he knew it. But there was one time when both you and Alex did figure it out. And that's when the 4 come back from outside and they say, we saw red glow sticks. And if you watch the film, it's amazing because you guys did know this. You're like, we're from the red house. But they don't say anything. And they're like, what? And they both look over. And at that moment, they're like, oh, no. But they have to keep it completely hidden. And the other actors did not know that. The other actors thought they were just talking to them like, we're all from the same house. But there's a beautiful moment with it.
It was really fun to do. It was really fun. A fun way to act out a part. It was really great.
For me, it's a huge bonus, and it's the whole point that I wanted to make the movie was because I get very tired of movies that sound like they're written. They don't sound the way people talk. They sound like a writer. And I have always wondered what it would be like to just let actors talk to each other like normal people and not be forced to write these words that sound good on the paper but don't sound like what you sound in real life. And especially in a group of 8 people, in reality, a group of 8 would be talking on top of each other and overlapping and be very messy. And I needed to hear that. And I knew that if I wrote it, it would start sounding like all those other movies where everybody waits for their line, you're not really listening, you're just sort of waiting for your turn to talk. And I've always had this theory that if I could just get rid of the script, I could actually have the actors listen to each other, and it would be much more natural. No audition. I just called them up and said, can you be at my house? I can't tell you what we're doing.
Well, we did a test.
You have to trust me. Yeah. Well, we did, yes. So this is what happened. Alex Manoogian, who plays Amir, is my co-writer. We had been talking about this idea for a long time, and we said, let's do a test. Let's invite Hugo and a couple other people that don't know each other, and we were thinking, well, let's get their pictures out. So we got a bunch of pictures and said, who looks like a couple, who looks like they'd be married, who looks like they'd be friends. But it was also based on who we thought would just come over. So luckily, I know all these great actors. That's the one thing that we had. We had a camera, and we had some actors. So the casting process really was just trying to match people in age and feeling like they were in the same world. And luckily, like when they got together, they really did. Like you and Lizzie felt like a tall power couple. You know, she's enormous, Hugo's enormous. And most of them had never met each other before, but 5 minutes later we were filming and like, you guys are married, you guys are friends, okay, action, you know. So it's all instinct. It just felt right. Kunk, kunk. It just felt right. Well, it was me with a camera. It was me, and then my DP, Nick Sadler, who had a camera, and that was it. That's the only crew. There was no lighting, there was no props or anything. The only other crew were 2 sound people hidden in the house. But that was the whole crew. Our producer was in the back, Lena was getting food ready, and that was it. But that was the whole crew. So it was really just instinct. You know, I was shooting tight on everybody, and Nick was shooting a little bit wider. And that was it. I would sort of hold it, and I would sort of tell Nick, like, you know, I'd give him little movements, like, get over there. And then I'd go over here. So we just would keep looking at each other and sort of figure out what is the other one shooting. But again, it was all just very instinctive. Yeah. You know, the cost is hard to talk about because, yeah, I paid for the original shoot, which was very little money, you know, under $50,000. But then we had a reshoot, and we had to get a lot more money to finish it, to make it ready for the theater. And that's, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to get it into the theater and cut trailers and pay lawyers to make sure it's all legal and all that stuff. So it's tricky to say how much it costs, because it costs this much to shoot it, but this much to finish it.
I remember it was a little, but we're all friends, so we would be there anyway, whether we were getting paid or not, you know, because it was such a pleasure to help Jim, who's our friend, and Alex, who's our friend, and then you're around all your friends, and so you know, we didn't get paid much, but we had so much fun doing it, and it was so exciting to do it, and they had good food on the set, which is always really good.
And we cut the actors into the profits. They have a percentage of the.
Which was really, it's a nice way to do it. And I've done a couple of projects like the last Duplass thing I did with Room 104. Oh, nice. They don't pay much, but they give you a point, that's really cool. It's a great way to pay your actors if you know that you can't pay them a lot up front. If the movie does well, then they see a little bit of that. I don't know, because the movie it's still going on. There's still legs, so
We're still trying to recoup our costs. We have a long way to go to get our money back. So every few months they get a little money in their bank account from the distributors. They got paid up front because we have the Screen Actors Guild in America. So the Screen Actors Guild has different levels of what you can pay for. So if you have a micro budget, which is under, you make a movie for under a certain amount of money, you only have to pay a certain amount. We opted to pay more than that, even though we qualified to pay them the least amount of money. We said, we're going to pay them the next amount of money.
Which was nice.
Which, covered gas and everything. And then we said, we're going to defer amount of money, which means as the money is being paid back, they get a certain amount of money, which was like, I don't know, $16,000 each. And, you've gotten less than half of that. So let's just say we are not there yet. We have not got our money back. And then after it makes all of its money back, each actor gets 2% of everything that comes in.
But it is in the United States, it is important to have your deal up front, to know how much you're going to be getting, whether you're writing or whether you're directing or whether you're an actor, just to have that in writing so that you know, okay, I'm definitely going to get paid, because otherwise you can't, there's no way to make a living off of it, even if you're, even if you're a big actor or a small actor, it's always honorable to have some sort of an agreement up front.
And that was one of the funny things about getting it made was we were calling the Screen Actors Guild, because you have to, they're all in SAG. SAG, S-A-G is Screen Actors Guild. So we had to call them and get permission to use all the actors. And it was so difficult explaining to them what we were doing. They said, well, send us the script. We said, there is no script. What is the budget? We said, well, there's not really a budget. And they would say, this isn't a movie. This is a YouTube video. You're not making a movie. We're like, no, we're making a movie. They're just like, you're not making a movie. No script, no budget. You're making it in your living room. That's not a movie.
You're messing around.
Yeah, so that was tricky, but we had to do it because we knew there was a chance that it would actually get out into the world. And if so, you have to have the contract in place. The most was Lorene Scafaria's wig. What? The wig that Lorene Scafaria is wearing, because we had to do reshoots. We shot the movie in 5 days, 5 nights, but 6 months later, I had to get all of the actors back and do some close-ups and do a couple scenes that were out of focus and do some of the outdoor stuff. Like, we had to fill in little bits and pieces. Lorene had cut her hair and colored her hair. She didn't look anything like it. Everybody else looked exactly the same. Lorene, we had to pay $8,000.
$8,000?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Wigs, a good wig is expensive.
And because it had to look exactly
like. It had
like...
to match cut for cut. And so in the movie, you can, if you really want to be a super fan and really check the continuity, because the whole movie's full of continuity errors, and a lot of them we knew about. We just said, well, let it go, let it go, let it go. But the wig thing we knew could not draw any attention. So there are shots where it goes from Lorene with wig to another face, and then Lorene without a wig 6 months later, 6 months earlier, and back and forth. You can tell it's just a little different, but it's amazing how close it was. So that wig was by far the most expensive thing in the whole movie. And then, to be honest, if you're talking about post, if you're talking about the whole movie, the most expensive thing was editing, because we knew we needed a great editor, and so we paid real money for Lance Pereira to edit it. Yeah, he got real money. A real editor makes thousands of dollars a week, and he spent many, many weeks on it.
And they should. They're in a cave, just,
Yeah, he made that movie. I mean, he and I was sat with him every minute of it, but he was really figuring things out and and taking pieces from one conversation from one day and combining it with a face from another conversation. He was integrating it in genius ways, because you're not seeing most of the film, because they would go off on these completely different tangents for hours, and we had to edit 25 hours down to the 90 minutes, and so you're really not seeing most of the film. And we didn't do takes. It's not like a normal movie. Every line you have like 3 takes of that line and several takes of that scene, but we didn't have that. They did it once, but they also did lots of other scenes. So we're like bashing scenes together that were never meant to be put together, and that's why the editor was so crucial. No. You go back, because how would they know what I wanted them to do? So I would just let them go, let them get it out. Everybody wanted to cry at some point. I don't know if you remember that, but the first day, like every actor just wanted to get to a point where like, I'm and they're crying, just like, okay.
Or yelling.
Keep rolling, and then you say, okay, we're just gonna kind of maybe take it back, and maybe this time don't cry, and maybe like answer the door. So you're not seeing so many hours of footage that they actually did.
And over the period of time that we were doing it, there were like the actors had no idea what it was going to be, and so it got more and more intense. So all of a sudden, you'd be in the middle of a scene and there'd be this thing, and you would be scared, and it got scarier each time we did it, each night. And so by the time I remember pulling up in my car the last night, and I'll never forget like stopping, turning off my car, and I looked at your house, and I was afraid of your house, because I was like, what is going to happen tonight? I had no idea, because it was just getting crazier and crazier. Yeah. And so it was so cool, because we shot at Jim's house. Yeah, and we shot in order. And so I knew that it was only going to get wilder. It was only going to get more bizarre. Yeah. And I was terrified of your house. I still won't drive by it. I don't like it.
Yeah, well, you're not invited.
Good. I don't want to be there.